Just play with them and see what kind of things you can discover while you're playing with them. Did you notice anything about the shapes?
Yeah.
What do you notice?
I noticed it adds up to like this.
Come on, Sasha. Let's go inside.
And it looks like one. It keeps on adding up. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Rectangles go together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Just a minute, Emma.
5, 6. It adds up to 6. Every time they add one more.
How do they add one more? Can you show me a way that they might be adding one more?
You just take like a 1 and then you add one more to make 2. Then you take 1, 2. You take 3.
What do you notice about the relationship between the pieces, the different color pieces? What do you notice about the relationship to each other? You've got specific colors. Okay, what do you notice about the color groups and their relationship to each other? Do you notice anything about the relationship between the pieces? You said that 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Do you notice anything else?
They build a brick house.
What if I gave you this? Does that look like anything to you? Does that make any difference about the relationship of the pieces to each other? Do you notice one thing about the relationship of the colors to each other? Have you ever heard something called fractions? You ever heard of something called fractions? What if I told you something like half?
Oh,
and quarter.
This is half. Quarters.
What is this strip?
A hole.
A hole. Yes.
Hole. This is a whole one. Half. Quarters.
Okay. Can you show me Can you use these strips to show me the half that you just talked about?
Half of these ones.
Can you show me their relationship to the whole?
All you have to do is like cut them in half.
If I cut this piece of paper in half, what would I have? What would I get?
Halves.
Can you show me the halves that I would get?
You get these.
I would get those?
Yeah.
So these are halves, you said, right? Okay, now you said something about quarters. Can you show me the quarters that you were talking about? Maybe you want to look at this again. So can you show me how the quarters relate to the whole and the half that you?
All you have to do is like connect them together to make like a hole and a half.
So you connected these three together to make a hole. So are these the quarters that you were talking about?
These ones are the quarters.
Are you sure? How many pieces are there?
6 pieces.
Would that be quarters?
Mom, where's my 2 pieces?
If I had 6 pieces, if I cut the bar into 6 pieces, would I have quarters?
No.
What if I cut the half piece into 2 pieces? What would I have?
Quarters.
So can you cut this in half with these pieces and show me how it would cut in half?
It would be like this, and then you get this kind of like it's a quarter.
Okay, is this the half? If we put these together, is that half of it?
No.
Okay, well, is there a piece that will show you half?
Mom, I need more green. I need a green, my green. I need
Okay, so if you put those 2 pieces together, you get a half. Is that what you're trying to say? Mm-hmm. Okay, are there 2 other pieces you can put together to show me half?
Mom, this is how many I stacked up. Oh wait, no. Mom, this is my coloration.
So that would show me half?
Yeah.
So you're saying that this piece is half. So if this piece is half, what are these pieces again?
Quarters.
It's quarters. And then this also shows me half. But what are these pieces?
Quarter and penny. Quarter.
How can this be a quarter though? Watch.
But Mom, these are the quarters.
The blue is a quarter. How can the red also be a quarter?
Can I see this?
Let go.
Mom, can I see that?
You don't. Does it work that way? So let's just look at the quarters for a second.
Mom, you know
It's very good that you knew that you got 1/2 and quarters. Can you make this one into quarters?
Yeah.
Show me that one.
You have to cut squares like this, and then you have a quarter. If you cut like squares.
So show me the squares that are already cut that represent the quarter for this part.
These ones. Ooh, look at this. These ones are just a bit longer. Mama, this is cool. Mommy, I still this one, and this one is just a bit shorter.
They're different pieces, yeah.
And it looks like they're both quarters, but they're not both quarters.
No. How about if I do this?
Mommy.
Look.
Mommy.
How about if I do this?
Mommy.
Shh, Emily. Just play with it. This is your whole, right? And these are your what? Halves. And what are these ones? What'd you say they were? They're right here.
Mommy, this.
Okay, if I cut the half.
Quarters and this is
Yeah,
quarters.
these are quarters. So these are whole, half, quarter. And why is it a quarter?
Because quarters are like small pieces of the sections.
Mm-hmm. But what makes this a quarter and not this?
Because this is shorter than this one, and this is a half.
This is a half.
And this one's longer than this one.
So this is a quarter. If this makes it a half, and this is half of a half, which makes it a quarter. Okay. Maybe when we get done, this is just our beginning. Maybe when we get done, you'll have a better understanding of. But you are right, though, that if we keep cutting these pieces up, we get different sizes. Once you line the red up on this and see what you get if you put all the red squares on there. Oh, look, you got yours all lined up like I just asked Liv to do.
I thought on.
Yeah, you can put them on the paper too. You can put them on the paper too. But I just noticed that she already had them together with the.
I do something.
I'm gonna turn that light on full behind me. Okay, so how many red pieces does it take to make that hole?
6.
6. And how many yellow pieces or green pieces did it take to make that hole?
2.
And how many blue pieces did it take to make that hole?
4.
4.
And the yellow is 3. And the purple is 5. Now why the 6?
So we're cutting it in pieces. So if I had this was the candy bar that your brother had yesterday. That's the candy bar your brother had yesterday. It's both the same size as what your brother ate. Okay? You have 5 people here. You, me, Emily, Kyler, and Evan. I want you to share that candy bar with us. What would you do?
I'd make it into quarters so each of us had the same amount. And cut it like this.
Are those the quarters that you had?
And Daddy.
Which one were the quarters? We said the blue ones were the quarter pieces.
Mama, making it all.
So we have, if we make those into quarters, we have how many people?
6.
We have 5 people.
5.
Okay, divide the candy bar up into quarters. How many pieces do we have then?
4.
Is that enough for everybody?
No.
No. So what else can you do? How can you make that candy bar? How can you share the candy bar?
What are these?
Well, I don't know. Just put them on. They're the red ones.
You can actually make them into smaller quarters.
Smaller pieces?
Mm-hmm.
But those aren't actually quarters anymore.
Mom,
Because
what about this?
quarter doesn't, when it gets smaller, it becomes something else. How many pieces did you divide that candy bar into?
Mom, these are 5. 6.
6. Let's count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
We have 5 people. Who's gonna get more?
No one.
You want someone's gonna get more?
We give it to Dad when we get.
Yeah, we only have 5 people. Dad doesn't want any. So what would you do to share it with 5 people?
We put Mom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need a pocket.
Yes, you got 5. Good job, Emily.
So I was share.
Stop yelling now.
So let's share.
So will that share evenly with 5 people?
Yeah.
Will we each get the same amount?
But we're gonna do all these candy bars.
That's good. No, these are a different color.
One whole.
One whole. Well, I put the labels on these. Okay, so this is the whole candy bar again. And when you divided it in half,
1/2.
see, 1/2.
And then you'd have to divide it into quarters.
If you divide it into quarters, what does a quarter look like? What does that number look like? This says 1/2. This is 1/4.
And then you divide it into smaller.
Yeah, this first number tells you how many of this you have. You have 1 piece of this, 1 piece of this. This bottom number tells you how many pieces it would take for you to get the entire or whole piece again. So when you divide the candy bar into 1/2, you end up with how many pieces?
2.
If you divide the candy bar into 1/4, you end up with how many pieces?
4.
4. So when we divided the candy up with the 5 of us, how many pieces do we have?
5.
And that looks like this. So if it's that, then what is this? If this is 1/2, this is 1/4, what is this?
Smaller piece.
Smaller piece, 1/2, 1/4, 1/5.
And then the other one's 1/6.
Yeah, and the other one would be 1/6. Very good.
And
What if we had this? What is these?
3.
3, so it's 1/3. Very good. You caught on really fast. You caught on really fast. That's good, right? Okay. If I have the 1, is this half bigger or smaller than 1?
Smaller.
Smaller than 1. So it's smaller than 1. Is this third bigger or smaller than 1?
Smaller.
Smaller. Have you ever seen a number line before? Sure, what a number line is. When you're counting, this is a line that they call a number line. And they have the arrows on them because numbers go on forever. Do you know that? The numbers go on forever? That's why there's an arrow, because you can go forever and ever in counting. Have you tried to count? How high can you count?
2, 400.
That's a lot, isn't it? And you know that there's more numbers beyond that, right? Right?
So try to get to 500.
So if I was talking about a number line is just a section of all the numbers that you can count. And we're just going to talk about a small part of that number line. We're going to talk about the number 1. What comes before 1?
2.
No,
0.
0, okay. So you start out with nothing and then you go to 1. So if I said that this is the whole, that's 1, where would you put that on the number line? Right here? That's 1 whole. Okay, good. Now if I had told you to put this on the number line, where would it go? So we'd have those numbers. So how big is this number? How would you tell somebody what that number was? How would you explain to them what half is? If you know that it's going to go on the number line right here, how would you explain to them what half is? What would you tell them about it?
That it's smaller than 1 whole.
It's smaller than 1 whole? What can you tell them about it in relationship to the 0? Said it's smaller than 1. What can you tell them about it when they ask you about how big it is?
0 is smaller than 1, so the quarter is smaller
I have these special number lines that I printed up that are just the perfect size. And on there we have 0 and we have 1, just like we talked about. And so this is 1 candy bar, right? If I put this on here, so we have 0 and we have 1, what would this line be then? You don't know? How far is this line from 0? How far did we go?
2.
Did we go 2?
Half.
We went half. So we went half. So we have the whole, and we went half. So we have this one goes all the way to 1. We've already got that written there, so I'm going to draw it on there. And this one, this line went all the way to half. Now I want you to explore with these and the number line and see where would they live. And you can write the number when you feel like you've gotten it. Where would they live on the number line?
Right here.
Right here. So if we got to the end, of this piece,
This is smaller.
so let's just talk about this piece. If we got to the end of this piece, and I put a mark here, because that's where it goes that far, what would you call that mark? We call this mark a half. What would you call that mark? How far down the number line did you go? How far the way did you go?
A little bit
How far did you go? If I
a
put
little bit less than a half.
a little bit less than a half, right? You went a little bit less than a half. So if I put all these on here, Emily, please don't. If you put all these on here, okay, it makes how much? How much does that make altogether? How far did it go on the number line? How far did it go?
Now I can
What's this? How far did it go?
Olivia, you're in the
You
way.
sit down, you're blocking the whole shot. No, it went 1. This went all the way down the number line, it went to 1. So if I take these off, how far did this one go?
a little bit less than half.
A little bit less than half? Is there another way you can talk about that? Is there another way you can say that? Instead of saying a little bit less than half, is there another way you can say it? What do we talk about the numbers that were on here? How many pieces does this divide 1 into? It's a third. Next time you can. Okay, so we found a 1, we found a half, and we found a third.
Long. The castle is this long. Or 4.
Those are 4. So how many does it take to make 1?
4 of them.
4 of them, right?
A little
So if you were
bit
sharing a candy
less
bar
than a half.
with 4 people, each person would get 1 little piece. It's what's a little bit less than a half?
Mommy, the castle like this big.
A third.
And then a little bit less than a third is a 4.
Is a 4.
Castle like
So if we just focus on just having 1 part on there,
castle like
1 piece of the 4 pieces, what would you?
castle like this big.
Good. Okay, Emily, you gotta stop. And what would you write there to call that number? What would you call that line?
Big. This big. I know it on the chair.
Yeah, you do good.
This
We call it what?
a 4.
A 4th. Exactly. Good job.
And then
Do you know what it means when something is equal? If you have 2 pieces and I have 2 pieces and I say we're equal, what does that mean?
now we have the same amount.
We have the same amount. So what does equal mean?
The same amount.
The same amount. Okay, so when we talked about this candy bar and we divided it into half, okay, what can you tell me about these 2? If I'm sharing with you, and we each get 1 of these pieces,
We have the same amount.
we'd have the same amount. And if we decided we didn't want to eat them right away, and we put them back in the wrapper, what would we have?
we'd still have the same amount.
We'd still have the same amount,
But it's back.
but it's back in the wrapper. So, what is the same amount as this? What is the same amount as 1? Is there a way you can explain that? You say 1 is the same amount as 2. What can you explain it to me in a way that makes sense to you?
You take a candy bar and you split it in half with another person.
Okay, so you were saying that you take the candy bar and you cut it in half, and you have 2 pieces. You're trying to tell me how 2 can be the same as 1. How can 2 pieces be the same as 1 piece?
Together it would be a whole piece.
Because these 2 pieces make up the whole?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. So that means that this, does that mean that, what does that mean? Does that mean that if this is this one, so if I had 1 half and 1 half, what would I have?
2. You already won.
Can you go over there? So, if I had 1 half and 1 half, what do I get?
A whole.
A whole. Okay. So if you add 1 half and 1 half, you get
Oh.
a whole. So that's what 2 pieces can be. Are these smaller than this one?
Yeah.
Oh, because they're smaller. So you take 2 small pieces, together they make
A whole.
a whole. Okay, I get it now. This on the number line and this on the number line, both the 2 pieces together. What number would we end up with? What number in the number line would we use to show that? Pieces together, how much is that?
A whole.
So where on the number line would that go?
You should take 1 off.
And if I take 1 off, then I only have how much? But I might have the same amount as this.
Then you put another one there and then add up to 1.
And add